Hello and welcome to this Christian Homemaker. My name is Christian and I'm so glad you're here today. I would love to share a verse with you. And he said to him, "You are to love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your mind." Matthew 22:37. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing a few weekly snack staples that we like to try to keep in our home on a weekly basis. I'm going to be sharing 4 of those recipes with you today. For this first recipe, I'm making homemade salsa. First, you can see here that I am cutting up 4 tomatoes off the vine into small, medium-sized pieces, as well as cutting up 2 jalapeno peppers. I like to take out the seeds of 1 jalapeno pepper and keep the seeds in the other one. That is because if you keep the seeds, the more spicy it is. So it's really just your preference on what you like. Then I'm cutting up a white onion, and then I'm going to face those down on the baking sheet as well. I also forgot to peel some garlic cloves. Normally I do 3 and place those down the baking sheet, but I totally forgot. I don't know why I forgot, but I did. Later on, I just added them to my blender later to the salsa. And then I just drizzled it generously with some avocado oil. You can also use olive oil, whatever you preferably use. And then just rubbed it down because it's kind of like it's baking in the sun. And then set my broil for low and baked it for 15 minutes. And then I just let it cool after it came out for about 10 minutes. Then I placed all the vegetables in my blender. Then I added a half a cup of cilantro or a handful, lime juices from 2 limes, a half a teaspoon of salt, and you can adjust that to your liking, so whatever you really preferably, if you like it more salty, I don't know, just depends. And then 1 teaspoon of sugar. And there you go, you have some salsa for the week, and you can just pair it with some tortilla chips, and you can also make those from scratch as well. The next recipe that I'll be sharing with you is some homemade granola bars. These can be eaten on the go. I mean, mainly like if you're going to the park or something, because they are kind of messy. They can get a little bit sticky. However, we love to eat these. These are gone in literally like 2 days, but that's okay. You know, I'm serving my family, and that's all that matters. So here I am just adding 2 1/3 cups of oats, 2/3 cups of honey, and then right here I'm adding 1 cup of creamy peanut butter. You can also add a teaspoon of vanilla extract, but I didn't have any on hand, so that's okay. Then I'm going to add a heaping half a teaspoon of sea salt, as well as 1/3 cup of chocolate chips. And then I give that a big old mix, get it all incorporated. It is so good. My husband loves them, my kids love them. It's just a staple in this house. Then I added some parchment paper to an 8x8 baking dish and then poured in that granola mix into the baking dish. You can also add different things to the granola bars. Like I've done coconut flakes in the past. You can add walnuts, pecans, cranberries. Like there's so many things that you can add, but these are just things that I had on hand, and preferably my family likes it better, just simple. Then I took another piece of parchment paper and then just pressed it flat into the pan. That way it forms better, so it's not just going to break apart whenever you take it out and cut it up. So I placed it in the freezer for about an hour, and then later I'll come back and cut it up. Now we're moving on to the next recipe. We are making hummus, and so I have my little helper here. she decided she wanted to help with this one. And I couldn't say no because these are skills that I want to teach my children and they need to learn it. So she is helping me make that hummus. And we just added in 1.5 cups of cooked chickpeas. I just grabbed 2 cans of the Simple Truth organic chickpeas from the store, and then I drained and rinsed those, and then we added those to the blender. And then we're adding 1/3 cup of tahini. And earlier she made that face. That was so funny. She tried the tahini and she did not know it was going to taste terrible, but it did. She was like, that is disgusting. But anyways, I promise it tastes good. It makes the hummus. Anyways, we added 2 tablespoons of avocado oil, and then over here I'm just going to cut in half a lemon, and then squeeze in 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. Also add 1 garlic clove and half a teaspoon of sea salt. And the last ingredient we added was 5 tablespoons of water. This recipe is just healthy. It tastes good. It's cleaner than store-bought. It's healthier than store-bought. The ingredients are better. It's cheaper. It's just all around so good and something that we like to have on hand weekly. It's also a great protein source. So now we're just scooping it into an airtight container that we can keep in the fridge for the week. And then we are going to prep some carrots as well to put in a container for the week to go along with hummus, or just a snack to have on hand throughout the week. So my little helper here, bless her heart, she was struggling to cut up those humongous carrots with that plastic knife. But she was willing and she was determined to try and get it cut up. It was so funny and so cute. But it just wasn't working out for her. And there she is showing you her carrot with her hummus. It's a delicious staple in this house. And then we are having a mid-afternoon coffee break. We like to make an iced coffee pretty much every afternoon. Every now and then I'll have tea, but mostly it's always coffee. My husband's out there in our garage renovating some furniture for us, so he's sanding down one of our dressers for our bedroom and giving that a new look. So I'm just making I'm just making us both an iced coffee. And I just added instant coffee, about a tablespoon to each jar, as well as some sugar, and then added some hot water, about a tablespoon to 2 into the jar, and then gave it a big mix, and then went over there and got some ice for it, and then added in some raw milk. Now you don't have to add the sugar if you don't want to. If you have creamer, like we don't really use creamer, we just the way we make our coffee is like half and half and sugar. So if you just have creamer on hand, you don't have to add the sugar. You just add the creamer at the end. And then sometimes here and there I'll add some vanilla as well to it. And it's so good and you just can't go wrong. Like, it's just really delicious. After the granola bars got done in the freezer for about an hour, I went ahead and pulled them out and just kind of cut them up into some bars. Again, so good, but however, you really need to keep them in the fridge because they are kind of messy if you keep them outside of the fridge. They just melt. I don't know. I haven't found one that you can keep on the counter, but if you have, let me know down below. I would love to give it a try. The next recipe that I want to show you is sourdough crackers. This recipe is from Little Spoon Farm, and in this recipe, I'm adding 1 cup of flour, 3/4 cup of sourdough discard, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt, and then you can kind of use whatever herbs you want, but I'm using 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. Then I'm just sprinkling some flour on the parchment paper to make it a little bit easier so my dough doesn't stick and I'm able to roll it out, as well as sprinkling a little bit more flour on top. You want to kind of roll this dough out to where it's kind of very thin, because if the dough is really thick and you didn't roll it out thin enough, your crackers are not going to be as crispy. So it's really important that you roll it out to a thin layer. And then after, I'm just putting some of that melted butter on top of my crackers. And the recipe that I'm using says to put it in the oven for 10 minutes and then take it out, then score it. But I just like to cut my crackers up in the beginning because I don't really have to take that extra step and take it out of the oven. I can just bake. So now I'm just cutting up my dough into a square-shaped cracker. And then I'm sprinkling some sea salt on top of that. And there you go. It is ready to go in the oven. And every time I go to move it to the baking sheet, it always kind of messes up. But, you know, it's okay. We can fix it. No big deal. So that is why you see me fixing it all. And then I just put it in the oven for about 30 minutes on 325 or until it's golden brown. Anyways, that is the end of today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it and got some inspiration on some snack ideas. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in next week's video.